Hey Martha and Donnie, sorry I'm just getting this to you. I know that we're held up on the house being ready, but at the same time I thought I would be done with this a lot sooner. And Monday I came in and I said I'm just going to lay this to rest because I'm having trouble with the square footage. Still didn't feel comfortable about it, so I ended up driving all the way out there again. So I feel a lot better about it now. I'm confident this is the best approach square footage wise. Sorry this video is really long because I get into all that. But take a look at it. This is my final analysis, and just let me know what you think. Thanks. Hey Donnie, and by extension Martha, since I understand Martha is the one who's good at technology and is going to be probably showing this video to you, Donnie. I wanted to talk over the final analysis on your home. It's been pretty difficult not to actually come up with the values, but just to get this square footage together. Yesterday I really started doubting some of my measurements because they were coming in too low, and so I tried a different method. I actually went back out there. I drove through the whole neighborhood trying to find a house that had the same footprint, and then I was going to add the finished square footage, and found out that from your neighbor across the street that there was really nothing like that in the neighborhood, and that the one I was trying to use was still pretty drastically different. It wouldn't have even had the same footprint. So I went back in and did another measurement just to see if I could come up with the square footage that was on the tax record. Basically, long story short, I'm not sure how this happened, but the tax record records it much higher than I was able to measure, or I was able to get off of another listing. The one house that I thought shouldn't have been bigger was actually bigger, and again, that ended up not even be a point of reference. But I'm still measuring below 2,000 square feet, even when I do the ASM method, which is where you basically use the footprint of the house for the downstairs square footage, and then on the upstairs, because you can't measure the roof line in the same way, you actually take the interior square footage. And there's no standard in this industry. There's just policies or procedures or even disclosure of how you measure. So I could disclose that I measured that way, which is usually pretty generous, but the tax record has 2,114 square foot, which was higher than my measurements. So what I basically said is, well, if I can only get up to 1,900 square foot my way, then I'd rather take the tax record, and then on the MLS we can reference the tax record, and as always it's the buyer's job to verify that. But at the end of the day, the tax record tends to be the measuring tool. It doesn't necessarily mean the value's there, but it gives us a number. So I know that's really long, but we're going to go with the tax record, because if I referenced any other measuring type, it'd actually go lower. And with the comps I'm finding, they're all real consistent, and we need the highest square footage number possible. So long version, here's our sample property, 2,114 square feet. This is the sales in the neighborhood. I went further back than you would normally go. This is a pretty large house right here. It has the same type of setup all of these do, where the bonus rooms, because the garages weren't built as wide as they could have been. I mean, they're two-car garages, but they all have very short knee walls. So the price per square foot is a little lower than you would expect for a three-side brick home. Part of that's just living in an area where homes sell for a lot more per square foot, and Smyrna always kind of surprises me because these are just nice homes and they don't get near as much. So what you do is you pull the report on this, which is just basically doing the math for you, and you find out the most expensive house that's pretty close to our square footage, it's 200 away, it sold for $73 a square foot. So while that's our highest sale, that's not our best comparable. The next one is 82, and that's a little closer. We're at 2,100 square feet. And then they start getting a little further away, and of course the smaller the house, the higher per square foot they sell for. So when you get down to 1,600 square feet, you're actually still at a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I know we're a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, but it helped meet people's needs, but it doesn't really change the price per square foot that we can get. And so then we're probably not going to be able to get these higher numbers based on comparable sales. This 82 is really our goal there. So we want to try to get that 82 a square foot. just to break even. I mean, just to be at past sales. And as you can see, some of these sales, like this one right here, you know, that's quite a ways back. This one is really ways back. So we can possibly add like a 5% kicker to that, assuming that there's 5% appreciation in the market. So now what we do is we can go outside of cobblestone. It's too small of a sample group for an appraisal. It's usually plenty fine to determine the price that you're going to list at, but we just had to go too far back to get those. So in this case, I am actually going to go outside the neighborhood. Let's back up one page here. And these are the most comparable sales that I had, and these get a lot closer in terms of quality and everything to what we have. So if we look at these real quick, basically we got 84, 87 a square foot for a house that's just a little bit smaller. 73, again, the bigger the house, the harder it is to get that. Then 82 a square foot, 72 a square foot, and then down here 84. So 84 would really be the goal here if we went outside the neighborhood. We're going to click on a couple of these listings so you can just kind of see the conditions. And I believe they're pretty comparable. Some of these had, you know, all the hardwoods downstairs with the stainless, granite, and backsplash. So this one's pretty sharp. That's one that would be our perfect price per square foot. I do think that house is slightly a tick above our house. This one right here is more comparable. It does have the stainless front fridge, black appliances. I did notice this one had carpet in the main. No, I'm sorry. It had a giant rug, looks like tile or something in the living area. So that's not a big thing in the South. That's not a big bonus feature. Most people are going to want to pull that up. So I'd put that about like having carpet. The Florida people come up here and want to tile the living room. And then here's another one. Laminate hardwood floors, laminate countertops, as you see. There might actually be a Corian, it's hard to tell, but it's undermounted sinks, so my guess is it probably is Corian. And then again, the short little knee walls, which makes me feel better about that upstairs square footage, because technically I can count the square footage, but you just can't get as much for it when it has a 4-foot knee wall, because I mean, I hit my head twice over there already. That's more about how stupid I am than anything I say. And then that is what we call our closed comparables analysis. Now we're going to do our active comparable analysis. So our active comparables don't really tell us what our house is worth in any real sense, but what they do tell us is what kind of niche we should be aiming for. We do want to sell above comparable sales because the market's going up. So if you sell behind where you were, then that's not good. Now we have a couple things hindering us. One is that the house is not lived in and staged. The other is that there could just be some updates to the house, even though the floors and everything are wonderful colors and decorating and stuff. It could be a little bit better. So even selling at comps could be, you know, not bad in this case. So if you look at this, what you see is, you know, we've got houses for 227 square feet selling for 189. I'm trying to leave this Victoria Park out of this because they are getting some high prices, but this is all new construction, and new construction will always sell for more. People will pay more just to be able to pick things out. If I hover over this, you'll see $85 a square foot here, $94 a square foot on Victoria Park. That's the one I'm trying not to take into consideration too much on comparables, but it does help when you're just kind of trying to find your niche in the market. Again, Victoria Park, and again, we're back to the 82 a square foot. Thompson Woods, I'm sorry. I'm working down at Thompson Station lately. This one, if I can consider this a comparable, would be a really good one because it is an older house, and they are asking a lot. What I always tell people is this is fantasy land, so keep in mind that this is what people are wanting to get for their house, but they haven't sold the house. So, you know, we want to live somewhere between reality and fantasy land, obviously, because we want to make you as much money as possible. Okay, and so then if these are all the comparables that I would have if my family needs were to buy somewhere between 210 and 160, these are the square footage ranges I would be looking at. And then the other way we can do this is we put just square footage. A lot of these are going to be the same houses, so you assume rather than start with the price, which most people start with the price, say I can afford anything under $2,000. The other way is to start with the value. In other words, I have to have 3 bedrooms, I have to have 2 baths, I have to have at least 1,800 square feet. So what are my options in Smyrna? And what you see is if you have to have all those things, minimum 3 baths, minimum 3 bedrooms, at least 1,800 square feet, it just narrows down the competition a little bit so that your cheapest place you're going to find is this place right here currently. This is always encouraging to me, because what I say here is, yeah, that's a great house, but if I can come in at $179, I'm $10,000 cheaper, or even close, and I'm providing the same value. That house looks really great. It's also on a 3/4 acre lot. I'm sorry, not 3/4, a little over a third of an acre lot. So, and you've got that there as well by the time you count that side lot. So that gives me hope that we're definitely going to be able to try to stretch it above comparables. So in conclusion, if we flip over to our market analysis, I'll go over basically what we're up against. This is our closed comparables. This is working with that $82 a foot price. It says that our probable sales price would be $173. That's hard data. That's reality. That's what we have to work with. If an offer comes in at $173 the first day, we'll know exactly that they're looking at the same information that I showed you guys. The next thing is we want to talk about our active comparables, the ones I just went through. And what that tells me is because of the value that we're bringing to the table for families who need 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,800 square feet, I want to potentially list at $189. I want to at least stretch the price to $189. Now, so finally, to go to market, I'd like to go to market with $189. I see justification for why that house could be $189. What we're up against is the fact that no one has paid that much for that house. I mean, for a house in that neighborhood. Even for larger houses in that neighborhood, no one has paid that much. The other thing we're up against is simply expectations of you and your family members. Now, I know that when I start off at a higher price, the reason I want to do that is because I want to prove to the client that my most important priority is to make you the most money. However, since I do this for a living, and this reality number that we talked about is very much in the forefront of my mind, and I just need you guys to remember as we go in, if this 189 starts appearing unrealistic in week 1, we want to start making changes. Now, I don't know how many changes you're going to want to make to the inside of the house. I think with the things that Donnie, that you're already knocking out, the only thing left would be to stage the house, and I don't think we want to get into that. So the only other changes we'll be able to make is price, all the way down to that 173 number. So you guys talk it over, let me know. Let me know if you have any other questions that I can address, and any other objections to kind of the angle that I've taken here. But I feel really good about it. Again, like I said, I hashed through those numbers 20 times. So just follow up with me. Thanks.